Passover's coming, and it doesn't look like the pandemic is going to end anytime soon. So I guess that means virtual Seders again? Hey there, I'm Rabbi David, your Torah Tech guy, and I'm here on Torah Tech Tips to share with you some great tips for your great Torah. Today I want to talk a little bit with you about Passover, about Pesach, because it's coming up and we're already starting, or we should already be starting to plan for our Sedarim, for our Passover Seders this year, and how we can support our congregants and our friends and our communities in making Pesach really, really meaningful this year. Since it looks like many of us will be having virtual Seders or digital Seders again, I want to share with you some tips today about how you can make those really, really engaging and interactive. And I also want to give you some very specific tools that I'll link in the comments down below. I'll tell you about those in just a moment. But I really have two sort of big ideas that I want to encourage us to focus on today. The first one is think outside the box. We have all been pushed outside the box, and there's no reason for us to try and crawl back in when it comes to Passover this year. I want to give you one specific example. So in my family, when we celebrate Pesach, when we have our Seder, we don't sit at a table. Instead, we build an Israelite tent, an ancient Israelite tent in our family room. So we hang some draperies around, we put posters on the wall, we throw all the pillows on the floor, and we actually do the first part of our Seder sitting in the family room on the floor, all snuggled up together with a little coffee table in the middle with all of our Seder plates and our wine and all that other good stuff on it. We have the Seder all over there all the way up until we actually start to eat some of the food. So when we get to matzah, that's when we actually move over to the table. I'll tell you a little bit more about matzah in just a second. But think outside the box. Maybe this year, when we may be following along or participating in a Seder that is being held online, maybe this is the year not to be at your table, at least for the beginning part of the Seder. Or if you're hosting a Seder, if you're doing one online, maybe encourage people to, instead of being at the table with a computer sitting on the table, take it into the family room, take it into the living room. Ask your congregants, your students, your learners to cast whatever you're presenting up onto their TV. Many people have Chromecasts or Apple TVs or any of these doohickeys. A lot of our TVs nowadays are smart enough that we can just AirPlay or mirror our phone or our computer right up onto the big screen. So why not invite people to do that? Have them create an Israelite tent. Have them do something different outside of the box this year so that when they're engaging with you, when you are leading them through the Seder, they're not sitting staring at a computer screen, but instead it feels more natural as a part of their family room or their living room. Okay, think outside the box number two, matzah. We make our own matzah every year as a part of the Seder, right? So when we get to that part of the Seder, we've been in the family room, we stop our Seder, we get up, and for 18 minutes, because that's the limit, we make our own matzah. You don't have to buy matzah in the store. And to be perfectly honest with you, the homemade matzah tastes a heck of a lot better. Now, it won't last. I mean, if you don't eat it right away, it gets nasty. Like 20, 30 minutes later, you don't want to eat it. But if you have the first part of your Seder, then you get up and you change things up. You break up maybe the monotony of it, and you invite your participants to make their own matzah. You can even walk them through it if you want. And then you move to the table, you eat matzah, you do matzah, maror, all the charoset, all that other good stuff, and then you move into the meal. There are lots of really creative ways that you can think outside the box to make your Sedarim different and just as engaging as if you were together in person. And the second tip I have for you is to know your audience. So a lot of us service an older community, or certainly members of our community who might be older. And it's important to know what their needs are, both religiously and technologically. So it may be important for you to have somebody standing by whose only job is to field tech questions. Maybe there's a dedicated phone number, or people can text you, or they're in the Zoom if you're using Zoom, and they can chat, I need help. Have someone who's dedicated to help with that, so that you, as the Seder leader, don't get distracted by that. You can stay focused on the creative, engaging, innovative aspects of your Pesach Seder, but have someone who really is knowledgeable about the platforms that you're using, who can support your congregants and your members. And the other thing that's important about knowing your audience is, what is their attention span? Can they sit through a 2-hour Seder on Zoom? Or do you need to maybe do something a little shorter? Knowing your audience and being creative and thinking outside the box are two really key ingredients to making your Torah that you share on Pesach even more powerful and meaningful. Now, I want to share with you a couple of very specific tools, and I will link to all of these down below, but I just want to share with you a couple of things that I've created that I have used in the past, and also something that I didn't create, but I came across it on a Facebook group, and it's just amazing. So let's take a look, dive in with me. This first thing, I just call it interactive Seder plate. And this, I have two versions of this. There's a primary version and a more advanced version. And I created this on Prezi. So it's an interactive Seder plate, and you just click on the different things, and it brings up what it is with a little bit of, what do you call that? A little bit of description about it, right? Oops, sorry about that. This is the more advanced one, if you will. And so on this one, when you dive in, it gives a little more detail. So this is something you could share with your congregants, with your participants ahead of time, so that they can learn about the different parts of the Seder plate before you even jump into your Seder. And again, because it is interactive, they can just walk around, choose whatever things they're interested in learning about, and click on those. I even added a link for the Haggadah. All right, this next thing is called a simple Seder. This is actually just a Google Slides presentation, and I put some images up here, and then I linked each image, and again, you just click on the image, and it brings you to a very simple, quick and dirty kind of Seder, right? So if you click through, you actually don't, it looks like you have to click on the buttons, but you actually don't. It just moves you through. And when you just click anywhere on the screen after coming to each page, it brings you back here. It'll move that little yellow circle. If you can see the yellow circle around the outside, it'll move that along as you go so that you know where you are in the Seder. It's a simple Seder. It's something that everyone can look at the same thing. If you're maybe doing it on Zoom and you don't want to have a full Haggadah, you don't want to overwhelm people with all the text, this or something like it, you can certainly create your own, add more, may be helpful for you. The last thing I want to show you is something that I found on Facebook in the Facebook Religious School Reboot group. And this is amazing. This was made on Genially, and it's just a series of different games that you can play. This was created by two amazing educators, and again, I will link it below so that you can check it out and thank those educators yourself. But you can see that there are all these different games you can click through. We read from this on the book of Passover, so you have to choose which one it is. And I got it right. The Passover story took place here. Let's see. Oh no, someone got that one wrong. You get the idea. There are some really wonderful digital tools that you can use to enhance your Seder, the Seder that you're presenting, or the Seder that you may be just hosting with your family. So again, bear in mind those two things. Think outside the box, and know your audience so that you can have the most powerful and memorable Passover experience this year. Friends, as I mentioned, I'm going to put all of the links to all of the things that I shared today on in the description down below. And while you're visiting those, I hope that you will also go over and visit TorahTechGuy.com, maybe like this on Facebook or like the video and subscribe on YouTube. And check out, I have all the links to all of my hardware and software and some fantastic tools for you there. Friends, I hope you have the most wonderful Pesach. I know we'll be talking before then, but until then, have a wonderful day.